Hey, what's up, my YouTube family? I'm back. Sorry I don't show my face. I don't know how to work this thing yet. But I figured I'd show you God's creation. What better than to take a nice long walk looking at this beauty, right? I'm in Arizona. For the people that don't know. Obviously, of course, most of the people checking out my videos live here with me. Anywho, excuse my breath. I am walking. I've been walking for about an hour. And I decided to jump on here quickly to share a little bit about myself. Next time or tonight, my daughter's gonna hop on. Anyways, I was born here in Douglas and raised by my grandmother. Rest in peace. She passed away when I was around 11, about to be 12. She did pass away in July, so a month like this month. But passed away from colon cancer. All my life, all I've heard is I was a mistake. I was unwanted. I was a one-night stand. And for years I lived angry. Angry at my father, angry at my mother. To this day, this woman still looks at me with disgust, hate. Why? I don't know. Maybe she don't love herself, huh? Anyways, I love myself. I was meant to be here, obviously, because I'm still here. The reason I wanted to come on here and share a little bit of that was I think it's so important for you guys to know the effect that these type of things and pain that you carry in your spirit and your heart and your mind and your soul eventually hurts your physical. That's exactly what I feel is happening to me. When you don't let it out, I never went to counseling. I never did none of that. I felt I was stronger. I felt I can do this. Forgive, let go, let God. But for many times I hid my anger and I hid my pain. And, when you grow up feeling unwanted or unloved, you tend to seek and kind of force that with everybody that you meet along the way. Now that I'm 42, about to be 43, I realize why. Why did I spend all these years begging for love, for someone to care? Why was I not important enough to love myself and to care for myself and to take care of myself? You go through so much trauma in your life until you finally get to that point where you realize, damn, this really messed me up. So much so that it impacts your life with your family, with your kids, your husband, your spouse, your wife, whatever. And, every time I walk through houses like these next to me, I wonder if there's a kid crying inside, if they're being beaten, if they're being yelled at, if there's kids not being fed, being insulted, being hated on. We didn't ask to be here. I was given away at birth. And as far as the story goes, and I've heard all my life, was I was given away to my dad's sister who lived in Bisbee, I believe. I don't know them too well. But they stated I was given away to them because my mom's mom, my grandmother, said she couldn't take care of another baby. She had too much on her plate. She was older now. She had her youngest, who was 3. She had already taken my brother in, who was 1, from a different father. And to have a newborn at home was kind of like, I can't do this, you know? It's like having triplets. So she said she couldn't deal with that. And they had given me away, according to them, to somebody. And then that my grandmother, I guess, was remorseful. And she was very like, oh, get away from me. I don't want to get close to you emotionally because you're leaving. You're not going to stay here. So with that said, as far as I know, she went and picked me up and decided to keep me and raise me with her, my great-grandmother, her mother, and which would be basically my siblings, her daughter, who was only 3 years older than I was, and my brother, who was 11 months, or is 11 months older than I am. We were raised very humble, very poor, didn't have much. I didn't really need much. I didn't care to have much. My grandmother was my ride or die. I was with her all the time, day in, day out. She went to the store, walked with her to the store. She would be worried of, my cousins that she would also take care of from California because they were in gangs or whatever out there. Mother sent them down here, I guess, to stay away from trouble. But he'd leave to Mexico, and 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm getting woken up by my grandmother and saying, hey, you want to come with me? I'm going to look for your cousin. There we go, walking to Mexico, trying to find my cousin. We'd go to church together. She introduced me. We were Catholic until maybe I was 7 or 8, I think. And then she just switched it up on me and decided to become a Christian and started attending a Christian church. Well, they have, Bible studies, and they have women's groups and all this stuff. So everything she did, I did along with her. Well, I was happy, but I didn't realize that I was going through a lot of emotional trauma. And there was a lot of fights, a lot of arguments. Excuse the dogs and the music. I'm walking, so there's cars and everything around. My bad. Anyway, there was a lot of violence in my home. Fights, arguments, screaming, yelling. People just claiming this, claiming that. My grandmother feared everybody. I mean, she was shaking in her boots all the time. I would find her on her knees crying sometimes, praying, asking God to help her. Kids in jail, out of jail, feds busting in doors. It was just crazy. And then I was being sexually harassed by a great uncle, I guess you want to call it. It would happen to be, I guess, my mother's or my grandmother's brother-in-law. But he, every chance he got, man, every time my mother or my grandmother, I called her mom, she was my mom, so don't get confused. I will say my biological mother if I speak about her, but my mom would ask me for coffee for whoever would come to visit. And every time I go to the kitchen, this man followed. Groping, grabbing. Given I was, I want to say 6 or 7 at the most. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew it made me feel uncomfortable, so I wanted to hurry up and get the coffee, cookies, whatever it was, and rush back to where my mom was. Never told her. I guess I was scared that she'd say, don't lie. Back then, people just wanted to avoid conflict. So I thought she would say, don't be saying that. You're going to get people in trouble. Don't do this, don't do that. So I never said anything. Then at around the age of 9, I want to say, I had a very traumatic experience with one of the cousins that told you was this troublemaker. He was in his teens, decided he was gonna try and sexually abuse me. I remember my grandmother went to church that night. And since it was a school night, she didn't let me go with her. And I remember being laid in the bed, because I used to sleep with her sometimes. So I was laying in her bed waiting for her to get there, face down. And this piece of crap comes in and decides to hop on top of me. And I just felt disgusted. I froze. I remember his disgusting naked body on top of mine. I remember him pulling my bottoms down and putting Vaseline on the back part of my body. I completely had no idea. And I think that's why I'm so open about sex with my kids, because I've been so adamant.
Time 22 minutes.